So Darren, obviously a lot of people right now are struggling. How did you even come up with the idea that food and 100 meals that you wanted to donate was the plan of attack for you?
Well, it's actually something I've wanted to do for a long time. Like in high school, I volunteered at homeless shelters and donating clothes and things like that. So it's something I've kind of always done. But I got in contact with Allen Hill Jr. Our parents are close, and him and I are pretty close. And I saw he donated some meals, so I just contacted him and asked, how do I join also? And that's how it came about.
It's interesting because I've seen other Cal student athletes
Referees.
also, doing the same exact thing you're doing. Elijah Hicks with the football team, he started a whole campaign for Feeding America, which is where you donated the meals as well. And I know Chase Garbers has been doing some different stuff to raise support. So, I mean, have you had other people reach out to offer support? Is it kind of a Cal community thing, or what has that process been like as you've seen your fellow Bears step up as well?
Yeah. Chase and I have a pretty close friendship. We shared a few classes together as freshmen, so I've known him for a while, and just everybody has the same idea of helping someone, but there's so many different ways. So it's more about the thought that counts more than which particular um, donation you give.
Darren, I'm fascinated by not only your action, but something you had just said about volunteering even at a young age. I think
Mhm.
obviously everyone knows who your dad is and what he's
Yep.
done at the
Yep.
major league level, but not every kid goes and volunteers when they're young. So the
Mhm.
impact that your parents have had on you, can you just explain that path that they put you on at an early age?
Oh, for sure. I mean, ever since I was, 4 or 5, where I was old enough to kind of remember and process things, my dad's just been a natural giver. Anybody who really offers a hand, I mean, he's the first one. So it's something they instilled in me, probably, I mean, for years, even before I can remember. Um, but it's kind of something that, comes from the heart. Um, my favorite athlete is LeBron James, and he uses his platform probably better than anybody we've ever seen. So just whenever I can help someone, it's a positive thing.
Darren, what has your dad's advice been to you? Not just as a baseball player, but as a son through all this.
Just probably just always working hard. It's kind of just like some things are out of your control. Um, obviously I was pretty disappointed to have my junior season cut short, but it's an unprecedented time right now, and just trying to stay as positive as everybody can and get through this.
Your dad, Dusty Baker, obviously, I think all of us kind of grew up either watching him, in the dugouts as a manager, and the impact that he's had on the game of baseball is really significant. Obviously, had clearly an impact on you. What was his reaction, and really the reaction of other people? I mean, this is a really unique situation for you, where you're seeing a college kid going
Mm.
and trying to help others. I would imagine that on social media, as you posted what you were doing, people have just not only congratulated you, but hopefully also got involved.
Yeah, I mean that was the big thing. I originally wasn't going to post that I donated because I didn't want it's not about letting people know that you did it. It's actually doing the action. Um, but talking to my parents and it's also at the same time a good way to raise awareness. To encourage other people to donate. And I know my old teammate Cameron Eden last year. I inspired him to give some meals and some other people in the Sacramento area. But once again, it's more about the genuine want to help someone more than kind of showing it off.
Yeah, well, speaking of helping people, obviously there's that aspect of it, and I think also people need to remember that in this time, there's you can help somebody by putting a smile on their face. And there was a tweet that you sent out a few days ago that definitely put a smile on my face. You said that you played your walk-up song on the way to the fridge just to remember what it felt like to go back and take a seat. So I've got a
Yeah.
lot of questions about that. First of all, what is your walk-up song?
It was Hail Mary by Tupac. So
Love that. Okay.
yeah.
And what the thing is, though, you said, I mean, it was kind of like a humble tweet, right? You were leading the team in hits when the season ended. You don't know what it's like to go back and take a seat after walking out.
If you play baseball long enough, you'll feel it plenty of times.
Darren, can I make a suggestion on
What is your life
next?
like right now, Darren?
Yeah.
Oh man, it feels like I do the same thing at the same time every day. Really, I've been able to hit with my dad. We have lucky enough to have a cage in the backyard, so that's something I like don't take for granted. You know, I mean, with our busy schedules, when I'm playing and he's playing, we don't get a lot of time together in general. So I really enjoy that with my dad, and I don't know, just trying to keep myself as busy as possible.
Typical athlete. You got your routine, and it's on the same schedule. We hear that from every athlete in every single sport. Darren, can I make a suggestion for your next walk-up song?
Yeah, sure.
I'm throwing it out there because you went Tupac,
Yeah.
which I'm actually surprised with because he's obviously, stood the test of time. But if you go back even a little bit further, and you're too young for this, but your dad might be able to shed some light for you. The group Salt and Pepper, do you know them?
Yes.
I think you should go What a Man. That, if I had your athletic skill, that's what would be my walk-up song.
I got to write it down and keep it in the back of my mind the next time.
And it would make a great fridge walk-up song too. I think there's like some swagger that you could really bring to as you walk to the fridge. So that's a great suggestion, Yammer.
Just trying to bring some humor, just
think about that.
Everybody's mood.
Yeah, I mean, when you become a Major League Baseball player, I mean, just think about how many fans will love you just from that perspective alone. Like you're going to be like a legend as a rookie. It's going to be absolutely tremendous. So, I ask kind of the plans right now because Ash and I were talking about it. You obviously have the ability to be a next level player. Where's your mindset right now with regard to that decision?
Obviously that's probably every college baseball player. I mean, their dream is to play professional baseball, but I'm trying not to think too far in the past, not stress myself out right now. It's kind of a win-win situation regardless. I mean, whether I go back to school or whether I start my professional career, it's kind of just wait and see right now.
And there's not really a timeline on that decision, I imagine, for the foreseeable future. Like you've got plenty of time to see how this Major League Baseball season plays out. I think there's a lot up in the air with that. So have you kind of marked when you will need to decide that by?
It's hard to say also because there's not a real specific set in stone date for the draft just yet. That's really kind of what a lot of people are waiting on. I've heard some things it could be in June or July. I mean, I think at this point it's kind of just, hopefully the curve on the virus starts to come down and things can get back to normal.
Darren, I don't want to get too personal, but I have to know the answer to this question because Ash and I have been really fortunate over the years to work with a lot of our analysts who have kids and have been pro athletes or coaches or managers, depending on their particular sport. And they always say, hey, my kid never wants to listen to me. Don McClain is a great example of that. He's the all-time leading scorer in the history of this conference. And he said, hey, it's sometimes hard to get my kid to listen to me. Your dad had so much success. Do you listen to him at all when he gives you advice?
He's probably the person that I lean on the most. They might disagree with different things like doing the dishes or like my laundry and things like that. He might say I might not listen, but when it comes to baseball, it's kind of like, I'm looking in a mirror. We're kind of just on the same page, and he knows my swing probably better than I do. So, I mean, if there's anybody who can give me some real advice, it'd be him.
Darren, I'm one of 4 kids, and every now and then to keep my dad humble, we play this game called "What's the advice that Dad has given you that you're currently not taking?" Mm-hmm. So could you answer that? Like, has he given you some advice non-baseball that you're currently saying, "Thanks, Pops, I'm good"?
He gives me some advice on like hunting and like that's kind of his lane. I have my license, but getting up real early and I don't know. I don't think that's for me, but he's the real outdoorsman. I kind of stay inside to myself.
I love it.
We appreciate you, Darren. Yep. Thanks so much for the time, and stay safe, stay positive. We'll catch up with you soon.
Thanks for having me. Go Bears.